This is Good Morning Mumbai, and you're with Hrishi K.
Okay, congratulations. You got all our winners. Chaitra, Varun, Priyanka, Sujay, Taranga. And you guys have a personally autographed book. It's Mira Nair's The Reluctant Fundamentalist, from book to film.
And also autographed by Mohsin Hamid.
Also autographed by Mohsin
double
Hamid.
battery.
Yes, double and danger. I'm just so happy to know that you run a film school in East Africa. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's called Maisha, which is a Swahili word which means life, and it's now in its 9th year, and it's completely free. And we teach the art of screenwriting and directing across 4 countries that constitute East Africa: Rwanda, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania. And it came out of the fact that, I've lived now in Kampala for about 23 years. And because I work sometimes in Hollywood, every time they have a film that's anything to do with Africa, they pretty much send it to me. And it's nothing to do with the actual dignity and beauty and power of where I really live. It's always about some white chick, having a neurotic sort of nervous breakdown in a place they call Africa. They don't even name the country. It's like I took a walk in Asia. It's like I took a walk in Africa. And there's some Maasai, usually sculptural African man, and the horizon that is never even named by a name. And it's all about basically not the Africans. And it's about time, Africa was made by Africans on screen as well. And there's a huge storytelling tradition, huge theatre tradition, but no training almost in the entire continent to make you bridge the thing to screen. So this is what Maisha does. We train, and we've trained now about 650 alumni who all are employed in creating media in the continent and in the region. And it's pretty extraordinary.
And you obviously love New York too, because your story was featured in that New York I Love You movie with Natalie Portman. So
that's right.
And you spend how many months a year in New York?
I spend now 4 months a year only in New York, and 8 months between Delhi and Kampala, or Bombay too. But I've lived in New York, off and on over 25 years. And and that lovely story, I think, was with Natalie Portman and Irfan Khan. Yep. And it's a wonderful kind of, with Suketu Mehta, the writer who wrote Maximum City, wrote that story. And it was a piece of sort of charm, because 47th Street, it's based on the Diamond District, on one street that is run by the Hasidic Jews, very traditional Orthodox Jews, and the Jains, the Indian Jains, very traditional Orthodox Jains. And it's about one moment where both orthodoxies are lifted and they actually fall in love. But it's just an instant, and how it comes back to the normal reality of not being able to. So it's a lovely little thing that I haven't thought about in a long time until you brought it up.
And being on the air 360 days a year, very few people make it up to my bulletin board when you walk into the office. And one of them is Shabana Azmi. I mean, I've interviewed her a few times. She's fabulous. She's, again, we're very happy to say, walking into the radio station over the next few days. So Janki Kutir is your home, where Javed Saab and she live?
That's where Kaifi Saab and Shaukat Appa used to live, and where Shabana grew up. I mean, they were so kind. Shaukat Appa is like a second mother to me. I cast her in Salam Bombay as the madame in the brothel, and she just was so amazing. And that has sort of, made our bond. And recently in March, when we re-released Salam Bombay on the screens, she came in her wheelchair and her gold juttis, and she just was fully decked out. It was so amazing. The spirit of Shaukat Appa. And it's the same spirit in Shabana. And they offered me their home, and that's where I lived while making The Reluctant Fundamentalist.
Lovely.
And Janki Kutir. And I'm really looking forward to... And Shabana and, of course, Om Puri play the parents of Chingez in The Reluctant Fundamentalist.
So many actors that you've discovered. There's Irfan, you just talked of Randeep. Must be so wonderful.
And Nana Patekar, and lots of young and known people.
The Who with Behind Blue Eyes. Right after this song, more conversation with Mira Nair at 9:39. She's absolutely live in studio. I've put up another picture on twitter.com/HRISHIKAY, link to facebook.com/HRISHIKAY. Naveen, who's a dear colleague, says the Eastern Express highway is completely chock-block coming towards Chembur and Sion from Vikhroli. Thanks for that traffic update. The Who with Behind Blue Eyes, 9:42. Mira Nair is absolutely live in studio. So your handsome son, you got to tell us about him. Zoran, what's his name?
His name is Zoran Kwame Mamdani.
Lovely.
And he's a Chalu bugger. He lives, he's just finishing his 3rd year in college in Bowdoin College in Maine in America. He studies Arabic and political studies. And he's really, I'm totally biased, but he's a definitely Dil Ka Tukda, and I'm waiting for him to meet him in about 10 days' time.
How do you react to critics? Like, for example, I know that Amelia was really bashed by a lot of people.
Yeah.
Do you bounce back quickly? How good is your bounce back factor?
My bounce back factor is pretty good because I live in Kampala where there are no tabloids, no journalism, no nothing much, for me. So I go and I'm a major gardener. That's what I do. I just put trees in the earth, and I do a lot of guerrilla planting in places, in slums, in highways that don't have trees. I plant, and that's a wonderful thing to be in earth, because it teaches me a lot of things. But the rhythm of life, it teaches me the ebb and flow. It teaches me about trees don't ask questions, so it lets me be in that sort of dhun, and it heals me. So it's part of the course. I mean, some things you do in folly, like Amelia, in a way, and some things you do because you just have to do, which is luckily mostly what the kind of films I make. I just have to make them. Amelia came about because I was making Shantaram for a year and a half when we were absolutely ready to go and at the door, about to shoot in a month. And then there was a strike in Hollywood with the Writers Guild, and everything had to shut down. And the strike took 3 months to resolve, and we lost the window to make Shantaram. And Amelia's producers were at my tail the whole time. And as soon as Shantaram, alas, fell down, they came, and I thought, you're sort of worked up as a filmmaker, really have the adrenaline to make the feature, especially when you're right there about to shoot. So when they said, you've got to do this, and Hilary Swank came and knocked on my door literally and said, please, I'm going to play Amelia, and she's an amazing actor, and it's a woman about, a woman who saw no borders, no ceiling. She flew the earth in the 20s, in the 40s, and so I couldn't say no. I just said yes, and then the studios came into it, and it was an independent film before that, and once that happens on a big budget, a lot happens, a lot changes.
Now, also, you've worked with Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah.
You worked with Hilary. You just talked of Hilary. A little bit about Reese.
Oh, Reese is wonderful. She played Becky Sharp, one of my favorite characters in Vanity Fair. She's a super smart, extremely grounded, focused person. Loads of fun. Has an incredible comic talent as well as wanting to do something, serious. So, and I cast her right just post Legally Blonde, which I love. I love that film. And so, we had a extraordinary time. And I don't know, I have this thing about pregnant actresses. I mean, she got pregnant, during the making of Vanity Fair. And luckily, as Becky Sharp in the story, she gets pregnant. And so we really worked with her pregnancy, up to 6 months, and used it as the drama in the film as well. So that's extraordinary. As a woman who's been pregnant and has had children, it's not an easy thing to just like be in a movie, for the whole time, which is anyway. But Reese is just a lovely person and a very smart person. Very got great brains up there.
Okay, I did some questions from you guys at the beginning of the interview. It's pretty much your last opportunity to ask her any question you want. Mira Nair in studio. It's twitter.com/HRISHIKAY. Tweet there your question to her. One space your question and name to 53650, or facebook.com/HRISHIKAY. Like the page and post on it. Radio Nowhere by Bruce Springsteen. Then a few messages and a last leg with Mira Nair, where we say bye-bye to her. Reluctant Fundamentalist releases this week. Go to the theaters. Catch it. 9:46 live.
This is Good Morning Mumbai, and you're with Hrishi K.
Radio 1.
Quick last round of questions. Nikhil Merchant says, curious to know what Mira likes to cook. If so, what's her favorite dish?
Imli fish curry, number one, not bad at all. I do cook. It's my therapy, in fact. So I cook mostly Indian fare, but do some grilled fish occasionally, some excellent steamed asparagus with spiced mayonnaise. I'm a big fan of Japanese food, so try to include that in my cooking. But yeah, I cook for friends. It's my idea of, and family of course, but it's my idea of feeling at home and grounded.
Nishit
Come
Kumar,
eat with me, Nikhat or Nikhil or whoever.
there are people who would die for that invitation.
Keep living, not worth dying for.
Correct. Thank you, Nishit Kumar. The soothsayer says, please ask her if she will make Shantaram in the future. It's a great story. Should be made into a film. Who knows? Yeah.
Well, who knows? Shantaram is sleeping, but I'm very much in love with trying to make him wake up. And I hope one day. I haven't given up.
Nishit, those script writing classes in Africa, why doesn't she run that in India? Maybe, who knows? But there are other people doing great work here. We know that, and Mira acknowledges that too. The Reluctant Fundamentalist. Why should somebody go into the theaters this week and watch it?
I mean, it's a film for the young. I made it for my 21-year-old son and 20-somethings like him because, it's a coming-of-age story, how a young man from Lahore dreams of America, wants to go there, goes there, how he finds out who he really is, what his voice is, where does he belong, where does he matter, where can he be heard. So it's this coming-of-age story which we've seen so often in other parts of the world, the West, the On the Road, the Jack Kerouacs, all of that. But we've never seen it from our part of the world, from the subcontinent, especially now in a globalized universe where people are going from here to there and settling and unsettling other places all over the world. And that is a complicated time now. And even if you come from Aligarh to Bombay, you are more than one thing. You are many things. And this film is a return to that kind of complexity about a young man who finds his voice. And just for Riz Ahmed's performance alone, one should see this film. I mean, he's pretty much a charismatic guy. And he's a rapper, actually. He's a musician. You should use him on his show. He's an extraordinary musician. But also because it's a very layered universe. And there isn't a film made with a brown guy at the center of it, supported by A-list of Hollywood, Kate Hudson, Liev, Kiefer, and Om and Shabana. I mean, there's the whole balance of power in this kind of an international film has never been seen. And so it's a film about us, and it's a film about today's world, which is a very complicated and interconnected world. How do you understand the fundamentalism in the title is not just what you might think it is. It's also about the fundamentals of money. Chengiz in the film is a Wall Street financial analyst whose job it is to ruthlessly go to car factories in the Philippines or publishers in Istanbul, one stroke of his pen, remove a third of the workforce and create greater profit for his American bosses. And he begins to question those fundamentals. Is this what he's on the earth to do? And then he goes back to Pakistan, and the folks who really believe in the fundamentalism of religion or terror come to entice him, and he begins to understand that the same fundamentals that they believe in are almost the same fundamentals as money, as the world of money, and he begins to realize that the human condition, the human beings are subservient to both belief systems, and then asks himself, what should I do with my life? What should I do? And that is a question that all of us face in different worlds, in different parts of the world now. So it's a film that not only, I hope, entertains you, but in which you can see yourself and your own struggle, especially as South Asians, in this world, which is now as much about the West as it is about here.
You've won an award. The film has won an award in Germany.
Last week.
So when are you going?
The German Peace Prize. And I'm going on the 4th of July and going to receive it, and going to see my brother-in-law's grandchildren born there as well. So it's going to be a combined trip, and I'm looking forward to it. It's extraordinary to be recognized for something that I hope is, questioning borders and questioning people's way of thinking.
Mira Nair, you're lovely. I had such a wonderful time talking
Thank
to you.
you so much,
Very rarely am I
Hrishi K.
transfixed. Very rarely am I transfixed when somebody's talking, and you have done that today. It's the stroke of 10 o'clock. Up ahead, my sit-down comedians, stroke stand-up comedians come in, Saurabh Pant and the East India Comedy. I leave you with U2, Where the Streets Have No Name. The Reluctant Fundamentalist is out in theatres this week. Go watch. See you at the premiere.
And bring 10 people with you each.
More.
10 के ticket बेचने का.
Bye, take care.